Cat TV is celebrating 30 years of community media. Help support Cat TV's next 30 years by becoming a member today. Your membership will help us continue covering meaningful, local content. Thank you for supporting your local community media station.
Select Board. My name is Jeannie Jenkins, and I have the pleasure of chairing this board. I'm going to ask my fellow board members to introduce themselves, starting with Tom.
Hi, Tom Haley. Thanks for coming tonight.
Good evening, Jim Carroll.
Good evening, Jean Connor.
And good evening, pardon my voice, Bruce Lee Clark.
Lovely. And also with us this evening, we have Stu Hurd, our town manager. We have Nancy Lively in a new spot for the evening, yes, who takes wonderful notes. And we have Josh Boucher on the camera from Cat TV. So all of that is wonderful. So let's begin, as we always do, with the Pledge of Allegiance. Jim, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Lovely. And Jean, would you share our town vision that guides all the work?
Yes, I will. Bennington is a welcoming, engaged, inclusive, resilient community where everyone, regardless of identity, shares in our vitality and benefits from an outstanding quality of life.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, so next up is the consent agenda for the purposes of discussion. Could I have a motion?
So move.
Second. Thank you, Jim. Any discussion, anything that has not already been brought to Stu or Nancy's attention? Seeing none, then all those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Please say no. All right, thank you very much. All right, we move on to public comment. I will remind everyone that the purpose of public comment is to share information that is useful to all. No personal attacks. If you have questions, we will likely send you to the staff person who can most ably help you. And try and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less if you can. So with that, Sam Rustino, you're up first.
Good afternoon, good evening. Just like to bring up a few items that I have. I came up with the idea of, we heard of adopt fire hydrants. We have numerous storm drain grates out there in the town of Bennington. And I thought it would be neat if citizens could adopt a storm drain grate near your neighborhood. And that I asked the citizens of Bennington that, you know, if there should be blockage of a storm drain because of somebody's grass clippings or debris, kindly clean that storm drain. It would help out Department of Public Works. I've adopted many storm drain grates around in my neighborhood, and I just asked the town of Bennington citizens to do that as well. I'll have questions on the minutes from last meeting. On those minutes, there was on the MSK bid proposal, it only stated that it was County Street, not Benmont Avenue. I don't know if that was confusing or not. Another question I have is, at the last meeting, somebody mentioned about People's Park and the word town limits. It wasn't town property. I never knew a certain section of the river wasn't town property.
Sam, could I ask you, what line is the first comment about MSK? Where is that in the minutes?
The MSK bid in the manager's report. No, excuse me, I didn't mean the minutes. I meant in the manager's report.
Oh, okay.
It was in the upper left-hand corner where it said in very small print.
Okay,
I'm sorry,
fine.
I directed you in the wrong packet.
Sam, that's okay. If it were in the minutes, I just wanted Nancy to
Yeah, no
be
problem.
able to track it.
My error. I have a question on our water supply. I know other municipalities have had water restrictions because of the drought situation that we've had. I don't know if we come close of not water flowing over Bowles Brook or whatever. I mean, there has been no water restrictions in Bennington. We haven't been getting that much water. You can literally walk across the Williamsack River. So I don't know how our water supply is. Obviously, our Morgan Springs, which is not our true water supply, we have enough supply of that. I've noticed illegal dumping into town from certain municipalities. Recently at the ball field, people pulling into the parking lot, walking their dogs, and then taking 1 or 2 garbage bags and putting them in receptacles of the town trash cans. I personally don't believe that taxpayers should be paying for people that they're trash. So I don't know if the town can monitor that or not. Also, there's an issue that I'm interested in, municipal parking lots where the term dead weight storage. I've been trying to get an answer on this. I don't know if there's an ordinance on that, but there's been certain vehicles that have been parked, boats that have been parked at our municipalities overnight, and it seems like people take granted that they can store their own personal vehicles on town municipal parking lots. I'm still concerned about the homeless. I'd like to get that conversation going before cold weather comes in. I think the town should enact a code blue alert. A code blue alert is any temperature that's down below 32 degrees. We get those people into a warming shelter. And then there was a wonderful commentary in the Bennington Banner. The one that's head of Old Castle Theater spoke about the availability of grants. Mr. Leahy's aging in place and retiring. Peter Welch is next to retiring. Bernie Sanders is out there to retiring. And if town is requiring on getting grants or writing grants, those grants are not going to be available anymore. So we got to be self-substantial of not relying totally on grants. We got to do private funding as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Let's see, next up, Mike Bethel.
I see it.
I thought I knew how to do this.
I think my voice will carry. Can you hear me over there?
No, okay, he really needs it.
Can you hear me?
No.
He can hear me. All right. What happened to the handicap one? All right, that's good.
Does that work?
No, sure.
Sure.
Yes, can you hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3. Donnie, can you hear me? I can't see anybody. Bruce, how are you? Well, what I'm here for is to comment on the project that you're doing with the old Ben High. You probably read a couple of things I wrote, but I am not for this project as you guys are doing it. I don't think you people should get involved at all in it. I think the goal was to have a gym, and it was on the rec center. You put a lot of money into the rec center over the years. You gave a chunk of land to UCS, and part of the deal was, where nobody complained about it, was we were going to get a gym out of it one way or another. But resurrecting this old gym in this old high school is crazy to me, because if you're going to use the ARPA money for that, you could use it towards a brand new gym where it could have solar panels on it, you could have state-of-the-art things for the community. And I just think this is crazy. And I want to ask, is this going to have a vote of the people, or only a vote if you're going to use the TIF?
So, Mike, there will be a public meeting. We've moved the public meeting to October because we wanted to make sure Sarah and Jean will be absent next, toward the second half of this month. So there will be a public meeting at that time for people to provide their input. This has been done in stages. So we have already had a discussion on the ARPA funds. We already have voted to put ARPA funds toward Ben High. You're looking at me like that isn't true. But
I made a motion on giving some ARPA funds.
Yeah, no, so not a designated amount, but putting ARPA funds toward Ben High. And so the project is still doing due diligence. We will have a public hearing. You will be able to speak at that public hearing. There will be continued discussion at the select board level. So, so your comments are duly noted, but this is not the Ben High hearing. That will happen in October.
I didn't say it was. I'm making the comments. And I also, if I can't get here in October because of the weather or whatever, I'd like some kind of a communication by phone, okay? You're doing the ADA thing for people in wheelchairs and handicapped to be able to participate in Bennington.
There will be multiple ways that people can
I'm not
provide their
talking
comments.
computer either. I want something like this or a phone relay or whatever.
Okay.
But
Yes, please.
I just wanted mostly the public to, there's one piece of information that I believe, unless I'm wrong, people can correct me, the UCS project never promised a gym at the rec center. We thought about the possibility of floating a bond in the future that the taxpayers would pay for to put the gym attached to the rec center, but there was never a promise that we were going to.
I never said that you promised.
Yes, you did. You just did a few minutes ago.
It was promised in part of the whole deal of UCS. Why did we? All right.
It was not promised by UCS.
I didn't say it was promised by UCS.
But, Mike, let's just get back to this is public comment. You're
I'm
welcome
making my
to make your
comment.
public comment.
You people are using my 3 minutes. My comment is the gym would be better served at the rec center. And I am going to ask the question, you can call me later or send me a note or whatever. Why did we give that land to UCS if we weren't going to complete it? And even when you talk to the people at UCS, the head one I talked to, she'll say it, she was disappointed the gym isn't going to be there. So the gym was part of the deal, not that UCS was going to pay for it.
Mike, again, this is not a time for discussion, so you are welcome to share your thoughts.
Well, I just shared my thoughts.
Okay.
Now, can I ask one other question?
You can ask the question. You may or may not get an answer to it, but
Is there going to be a vote on the resurrection of Ben High to the people?
no, there will not be a town referendum on it. We've been doing this in pieces. This has been a discussion.
And if you use the TIF, you're going to have a vote.
If we have a TIF, we will. That's not what you asked.
Okay, well, I'm just clarifying it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, and then next up we have Kelly Carroll.
Hopefully I don't send that.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. My name is Kelly Carroll, and I'm from Bennington, for those of you that don't know me. And I just want to talk about 2 community events that are going to happen this Saturday, September 17th. The first one is the Walloomsac Downtown Riverwalk, and you probably can't see all the details, but hopefully you can see the piece of pie. So this month's walk is going to be co-hosted by Turning Point. And there's going to be a nice presentation and interactive discussion that's going to happen at the splash pad, which is at the end of the walk. And we're also going to have some fresh home-baked pies, coffee and tea as well, for tasting during that presentation. So we're hoping that everybody comes out. The walk, again, is Saturday, September 17th. It starts at 10 a.m. at People's Park. It goes up the Walloomsac Riverwalk. It goes over Pleasant, or over School, down Pleasant, over to Main and around and down. So not the exact route, but I think you can get the image or the visual. It's free, it's open to everyone, it is pet friendly, it is stroller friendly, and we welcome anyone who wants to come. And there's going to be some awesome pies. I promise not to bring home babe, because we all know I can't bake. But anyway, and then the second event is also happening this Saturday, and you probably can't see this either, but maybe you've seen a couple of them around town or on some of the digital platforms. The VFW is going to be hosting their second annual adult scavenger hunt. This is a walkable, at your own pace scavenger hunt throughout downtown Bennington. The weather's supposed to be fantastic, so what better way to spend a beautiful fall day than running around downtown looking for some crazy things. You do not need to be a member of the VFW to participate in this, but you do need to be 21 years of age, and it does cost $5 per participant, and that will go back to the winner. So I just want to welcome or invite everybody. Hopefully you'll stop 10 a.m. Saturday at the People's Park for the walk, and noon to 5 p.m. the VFW for the downtown second annual scavenger hunt. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. All right. So with that, we are going to move on to our next agenda item, which is a presentation by UCS. And we have Alex Figueroa and Lori Vatican with us today to start this off.
Sure. Can you hear me okay? All right. So thank you, Select Board, for having us. I just want to take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Alex Figueroa. I'm the Assistant Director of Substance Use Disorder Service with United Counseling. Serves Bennington County. With me I have Lori Vatican, who is my wonderful leader. She's the Division Director of Outpatient CRT and Substance Use Services. I want just to take a quick moment to recap the last kind of few months. I know there's been a lot of conversations amongst partners that are really kind of sharing initiatives around, substance use disorders and, conversation around overdoses and what's being done, not just at a state level, but a community level. And I wanted just to share, what is UCS doing? Most certainly play a significant part in the work, not just individually as an organization, but also with partners. I also want to give a shout out to Nancy Lively, because she is just a rock star, and a lot of the work that we do at UCS, I got to give her a round of applause, because I mean that. So UCS, we are a designated mental health and substance abuse agency. For the purpose of this conversation, I'm going to talk more about substance use services. And so what that means, so we are a DSU preferred provider. So what DSU stands for, that's the Vermont Department of Health's Division of Substance Use Services. And that means we are recognized by DSU to provide substance use services. And so what that means, individual outpatient counseling, group therapy, case management, care coordination. UCS has a really robust intensive outpatient program. The intensive outpatient program is 3 days a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays from 9 to noon. And really the purpose of an intensive outpatient program is really to it's designed to address multiple factors simultaneously to help individuals maintain and achieve sobriety. And so, along with the work we do, we focus a lot on community engagement and partnerships. Working with partners like Turning Point, the Spoke practices, so like Savita. We do a lot of harm reduction distribution, harm reduction bag distributions. You may have seen the little blue bags or gray bags. Turning Point provides that service. UCS provides that service. You'll get to hear from, I'll introduce a representative from the AIDS Project of Southern Vermont. It's a service they also provide. So it's something that we do a really good job here in Bennington County of making sure folks have access to fentanyl test strips and Narcan. One of the other programs we offer at UCS is called the Rocking Horse Program. It's a support group that offers assistance to pregnant and parenting women who are seeking to reduce the effects of substance misuse in their lives. That's a program we offer on a quarterly basis. That's a grant provided by the Vermont Department of Health Division of Substance Use Services. We actually will be relaunching that October 19th. The details will be going out this week, which is really exciting. It's a 10-week program, and it's really structured, and so we're excited to relaunch that. Another service that we provide or offer at UCS is called the Public Inebriate Program. So this is embedded in Battelle House, which is our crisis stabilization unit. The purpose of the Public Inebriate is really it's a process of screening and determination of appropriate placement for folks that may have either public intoxication due to alcohol or withdrawal from alcohol or other substances. And so there's typically a screening process that's done by one of our crisis clinicians to really provide a safe space for them to basically, sober up. And so that's a service we do provide. A lot of referrals come from either police, law enforcement, hospitals, or other community partners. Another service that we provide is the Emergency Substance Use Program. So this, the Emergency Substance Use Program was developed to meet the growing substance use disorders need due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And basically, that's part of my job, and a lot of the focus is around crisis consultations. So if anybody is in crisis related to a substance use disorder or need, it's a service that we provide. Someone calls, we're able to respond immediately and provide really guidance on whether different treatment options, whether it's inpatient, outpatient, maybe additional recovery supports. And so that's something we're able to do on a continuous basis. Just to give some numbers, because I think it's always good to show a little bit of data. Part of the consultation piece and calls that we responded to last quarter, which was June 1st to August 31st. We received 35 crisis calls requiring SUD consultations, and then that's 51 general consultation calls. So basically, folks just requiring information about substance use disorder services. So not just, and that's really anything. So whether it's from recovery supports, treatment, inpatient. So there's just some numbers I thought was important to share. Also, I want to be able to kick it over to Lori, and she'll talk about a new innovative program that was launched in January, but it's called FAST, and I'll kick it over to her to talk a little more about that.
Oh, Alex, wait, Jean has a question.
My question is, did you say there's such a thing as a fentanyl test? Sorry. Did you say there's a fentanyl test kit?
Test strips.
Test strips?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so in the harm reduction bags, they come with 2 doses of Narcan, fentanyl test strips, and then generally there's a lot of informational resources provided from the state on just information on access to, whether it's Vermont Help Link or just resources that are available to the community.
So if someone wanted to have these test strips, where would they go? I mean, can they get them without getting a bag? Can you just get strips?
Sure. I mean, a lot of times, you can walk in the Turning Point. You can walk into UCS.
That was my question.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, great. I didn't know that.
Okay. It's for Alex? Okay.
About these fentanyl test strips, what are they used on? Are they used on people or they're drugs?
Good question. So fentanyl test strips are usually used to test drugs. And so as we, a lot of conversation we had the last couple months on substances, there's fentanyl and a lot of the drugs that are, within our communities. And so it's a way for folks to be able to use safely. So they check their drugs. If there's fentanyl, they're aware. Because a lot of times folks that experience an overdose is because they're unaware that there's fentanyl, whether it's cocaine or, so it just allows for folks to be able to test and use safely.
All right, Lori, come on up before we
No, these are great questions. I just want to thank you for having us tonight. And I'm really just going to, my biggest claim to fame is that I hired Alex, so I'm very happy with that. So we were, post-COVID, really being slammed with a number of people coming to United Counseling for Services. So we really had to think creatively outside the box. So we began a program called FAST, so it's Finding Access to Services and Treatment. It opened January 3rd. We have been thriving. We have decided to use the collaborative network approach, which is a certain type of modality where it's deep listening with a reflector. So people come in and they're seen the same day, and they're able to get the treatment as many times. So it might be a family coming in and they're there every day for a week. It might be a couple that have really been struggling. So this has been an opportunity for us to really meet the community needs. And so we have a little kiosk for people to describe their experience and measure. And 96% of the people that have come through United Counseling since January 3rd are saying that this is working for them. So we feel really grateful that we've been able to meet our community needs. And I did want to say that obviously we have a growing number of people that are struggling with substance use disorder. And that is something that is really important to us, and we have a lot of programming in place. We have an intensive outpatient program, and we also have groups, individual treatment, and we are running an initiative for the month of October on Fridays where we're providing intensives, and it doesn't have to be around substance-related issues. It can be it can be a couple that have struggled for a long time. The difference between this modality, it's eye movement desensitization reprocessing, and according to the World Health Organization, this is the leading treatment for treating trauma. And we have a traumatized community from the things that we've experienced. So I have no idea what the outcome will be. We just advertised it today, and we have trained up 9 of our clinicians as EMDR. I'm a certified EMDR consultant, and so I really wanted to bring that to my staff as well. So that will be running for the month of October on Fridays. And I just wanted to close with an invitation. On September 21st at the Old Castle Theater, we will be showing The Hungry Heart, and then we'll have a panel. And I really would like to see all of you there. It's an opportunity for people who have lost a loved one from overdose to be able to come and share their story, to be able to ask questions from different panel experts. And we will have some of our own stories of successes. So I hope to see you there. Again, that's 6:30 on September 21st at the Old Castle Theater. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any questions? I'll go ahead.
Is the event on the 21st being taped or recorded in any way? I'm going to be out of town.
That's a good question. I can ask Old Castle and our communications director if they've worked out those details. I'm not certain.
Okay, I'll check on it when I get back.
Do you deal with dual diagnosis clients in your program, and what's your technicality on the disease concept of addiction?
Lori, you can tag team?
So I'm also the director of CRT, our community rehabilitation, and dually diagnosed concerns have been something that United Counseling has been addressing for years. So we do believe in the disease model. We do. Mm-hmm. Did you need any specific?
I worked in the field for 30 years.
Is that a relief for you to hear that?
Well, it's a good relief.
Yeah.
Mental health that's a big problem.
It is a big problem.
Yeah. If we can address that, we might be able to address addiction program
for people that are self-medicating, that's what you're referring to. So what this gentleman is referring to is that people with, mental health issues often use substances to relieve that distress, and then that creates a problem. No one thinks when they use the substance that they're going to end up having these serious addiction problems. And so it's a sad situation, but yes, we do treat both.
Great. Kelly, you have a question? Yes, please.
So Kelly Carroll from Bennington, and I have a question about your FAST program. Is that what you called it, F-A-S-T?
That's correct.
Okay. So is that just in Bennington, or is this something, do you share or get best practices? Are you getting that from Vermont Care Partners? Or is this just in Bennington, or are there other, is there collaboration statewide going on, I guess?
So that's a great question, and I hate to be prideful, but I'm going to be prideful for a second. So Bennington actually developed this, and now the state of Vermont has been wanting to integrate this into their DA systems. So yes, I've been offering like free consultations throughout the state, and as a matter of fact, so other DAs are planning to move forward with integration of this program.
So just when you say the state, do you mean
Vermont State.
Department of Mental Health for the state?
Well, the Department of Mental Health is really excited about this because of the modality we use is collaborative network approach, and it's a strongly evidence-based program that we know works. And so that is what we're doing in our FAST sessions. And so they're bought in, but the DAs themselves have been really excited about how this has worked. And so there's a lot of interviewing, a lot of planning to potentially integrate into their own DA systems. Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you a question?
Certainly.
Do you have a program for pregnant women here? Program, for instance, perinatal addiction prevention?
So Alex was talking.
Lori, repeat the question, just so that Cat TV.
So is there, for pregnant women, is there a program for prenatal women? And in fact, there is. So both Sunrise Family Resource Center, I know, does, as well as the Rocking Horse. So that's really intended for people that have been identified as at risk and are pregnant. And so the 10-week program that Alex is just beginning has been something that's been around for years at United Counseling Services, so it's exciting to see that it continues to be a success. Yeah.
Thank you.
And lastly, I just want to take a moment to introduce one of partners that UCS has had the pleasure of working with. I won't steal her thunder, but I want to introduce Lonnie Myron with the AIDS Project of Southern Vermont.
Hello, thanks for letting me be here tonight. I appreciate this. Like Alex said, my name's Lonnie Myron. I do overdose outreach work for the AIDS Project of Southern Vermont in Bennington County. My primary role, I would say.
Excuse me, you have to really speak close to the mic.
Okay. Yeah,
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I know, it's okay. Can everybody hear me now? Is that
Now we
better?
can.
Okay,
Now we can,
perfect.
yeah.
Sorry.
Much better.
Once again, my name's Lonnie. I work for the AIDS Project of Southern Vermont. We have locations in Bennington and Brattleboro, and my primary role in Bennington County is overdose outreach work. So I'm really getting as much Narcan out into our community as possible. I also do our mobile deliveries for our syringe service program. The AIDS Project really has taken a harm reduction approach. We really believe in having people have safe supplies, so we're reducing the spread of HIV and hepatitis. That is the goal of everything I do kind of at the AIDS Project, is just to keep people safe, keep them from not having fatal overdoses. And really, I do Narcan training, I do HIV and hepatitis testing as well, which is really important right now since we've lost Planned Parenthood in our community, so there's nobody else really that can do it unless I've heard, there's something I missed, but I don't think anybody else is providing those services at the moment. What else? And, like Alex was saying with the fentanyl test strips, we really provide those as well in the harm reduction bags. I think all the organizations really, they're all very similar, everything we provide. So we just want to educate because there's so much, misunderstandings out there. I think with people that suffer from substance use disorder, is the goal is really just to educate our community, push Narcan, and really help people use safely. There's really such an issue here with the opioid epidemic, and I just really want people to be treated with compassion, and that is my primary goal. And we're going to do partnerships with UCS. They're coming forward, so we're really excited about those. And yeah, that's really what I do, and I really care about this work. And if you guys need any Narcan or need any training, certainly I can leave my contact information with you guys. I want to spread the word and get the information out there as much as possible. There's a lot of bad stuff in the drugs right now, and it's pretty scary. So I just want people to be educated. That's really all I want.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Sam, did anyone up here have a question?
Yeah.
Okay, Bruce, then we'll...
Just a quick question, and it can be for anybody and maybe others in the room who may know more than I do. Let's say I'm a Benningtonian and I'm out walking my dog and I find needles on the side of the street. Mm-hmm. What should I do and where should I go with them?
Gotcha. Well, don't pick them up with your bare hand first.
Right.
Okay. I know that, so we do disposals of syringes for our members of our syringe program. Disposal of syringes is very expensive, so it is not an easy, the AIDS Project's a pretty small organization. If I were to do it, I would maybe tell you to go to Stewart's for now. That's quick because they have a small Sharps disposal in their bathrooms. I wouldn't recommend, you can't dispose of a lot there. I do plan on organizing some cleanup days soon. I know it's a problem. It's upsetting. I don't want people to have to see those things. It's not, we make sure people have containers in our programs. We always they have to return them. You know, we don't keep giving syringes unless we're getting them back, so we really try to focus on that. But I would say be very careful and put them in some sort of plastic container. If you don't, if you don't have anything else, a laundry container, coffee can, if you just want to get them off and dispose of them that way. I can also leave my card, and like I said, you can always reach out to me, and
Sure.
We can problem solve.
What I really wanted is to make sure that everybody knew not to touch them with their bare hands.
Yes.
And if you didn't know that, now at least around the table and in the room, we know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just Greater Bennington Interfaith Community Service.
Is there a Sharps? Yeah, they would have a Sharps container, wouldn't they? Of course they do. Why-
GBIX is great, and one of their assistant director used to work for the AIDS Project, so she's very in tune with.
Thanks.
Yeah, all of that.
Why didn't I think of them?
Bruce, I want to comment because I think you'll hear from me soon, but there's an exciting initiative that'll be with us, AIDS Project of Southern Vermont, GBIX, the collaborative, where we're eventually looking to integrate Sharps disposal containers within our community. It's really preliminary right now, so I don't want to give too much details, but that is something that is coming down the pipeline, and it's something we're really excited about and excited to present once we have all the details in place. So, because we know there's a huge need. And that partnership will also include Turning Point as well. So more to come, but just thought I'd stick
Thank
that
you
in there.
for working on that particular piece of the
Anyone
dilemma.
else? Yeah, you have a question? Okay.
I'm willing to wait, though.
Well, go ahead, let's do board, and then we'll
Okay.
do.
This may be too big of a question to answer in a brief statement, but I'm curious where a person needs to be emotionally when they're to be ready to accept treatment. Like, are there certain, I don't know, I know it can take a long time and many tries, but what needs to be in place in someone's life for them to take that step to seek treatment and be successful?
Well, no, actually, Lori, I think you get to answer it, yes.
And if it's too long of an answer, I can call you.
No, I think
Okay.
it takes what it takes. So I think we just have to be patient and loving, and sometimes it takes somebody 14 times to be Narcan, and then they figure it out and they become really incredible contributors to our community. And as a matter of fact, I might be asking some of those people to be willing to speak on the 21st, because I know that we struggle with people wanting to criminalize addiction. And, if anyone wants to really understand it, I would encourage you to watch the documentary Dope Sick, because it really is, we were all preyed upon, right? And people just had illnesses and they were prescribed a pain medication, and then they're an addict. And we are somehow going to criminalize them, or we're going to limit, they can get 4 Narcans and then they're done. I mean, that's absolutely absurd. And the most incredible humans that have overcome this, it took what it took, and it's just, they think that they can have it in their life and they can be okay, and it's through loss, it's through keep hitting bottom that eventually they figure it out. So it really is about us being compassionate. Thank you, Lonnie, for saying that, and kind. And I've been doing this for 30 years. This is not new for me, right? So the reality is that recovery is possible. It is absolutely possible, and I see it all the time. And I think, the idea of criminalizing people or somehow having a time limit, we just can't. We can, though, learn skills for us how to take care of ourselves, and ways that we can provide resources. We deliver harm reduction bags to anyone that needs them, and they have all of those things in there, and you should have some for yourself, because you never know, right, when you might need that. So I think prevention is so important.
So everyone's different.
Everyone's different.
Everyone is different. There's no, and I will tell you, I watched Dope Sick. I think I mentioned it here.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal, that documentary series.
So I was working in the field at the time, and I can tell you it's absolutely true. All of a sudden, this substance abuse group, that I was running, that had people who were smoking pot, which was the biggest, right, or alcohol, all of a sudden, the kids were coming in with, their parents had been prescribed opiates, and they had figured out how to take the time release off, and they were having this incredible high, and I knew it was way beyond anything that I'd ever seen before, and I have literally been chasing it for 30 years. And I do think Bennington is unique in how lovely that people are, and just that you're a microcosm of what I see. And I do think that we're going to beat this. I really do. I think we have medication right now that is working, and so the question is, look, we need to offer it quicker. You know, we weren't going to announce this tonight, but I am going to, that we have decided to become a MAP program. So we, United Counseling, will be providing maintenance medication. It's just hot off the press, so we've got a lot in development. And Alex will absolutely be the one heading that up. So more to come on that. So we will continue to work together, and we're going to beat this.
I've got a question.
Jim? We'll get to you, Sam.
Lori.
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to stick around for the policy on signs on public lands? Because I'm going to have something to say that may be of help to you. We'll find out.
Well, that was a teaser if I've ever heard one. It's on the
I
agenda
apologize,
later
I didn't, I think I heard you say, are you going to stick around? Is that what I heard you say? At the end of this meeting, you mean?
on. No, for the policy on signs on public lands, which is 3 agenda items down.
Sure. Sure, for you I will.
Okay, all right, okay, I think you're up, Sam. Yeah.
Are you familiar with the term Noxalone box? It acts like a defibrillator. Rensselaer County just immediately, in Rensselaer County, New York, immediately just got a hold of this. It's another tool besides Narcan. I was just wondering if you were familiar with that term.
No, but I'm going to become familiar with that term.
Okay, and it acts as a defibrillator, and to have another way of helping in addiction, I think these should be placed around the strategic places in Bennington. So I'm just learning myself. So
Thank you, Sam. Any other questions? This was extremely enlightening. Thank you so much. Thank you, all 3. All right. Well, with that, yes, I see Paul Danzero walking toward the microphone. So Paul is going to talk to us about Willow Park.
Evening. Just a quick update on the Willow Park project. The work commenced on July 27th. Childscapes was the main subcontractor performing the work. To date, scope of work items that have been completed have been the old play structures have been removed. Old fill material has been removed at certain levels. The site preparations took place. The installation of the new play structures is complete for both the upper and lower playgrounds. The preparation of the crushed gravel, that's the sub base for what's going to be the poured in place rubber. So the small play structure at the top of the hill is going to be completely poured in place rubber for fall protection. The lower one has the pathways throughout, as well as underneath the key fall protection areas of the slides, swings, etc. The rest of the lower play area is going to have the wood chips in place, which has also been placed. Work that still remains is the poured in place rubber. Best case is this week, waiting on weather and scheduling. As soon as I know the confirmed date when that will start, I would expect that be a 2 to 3 day period. And then final topsoil, landscaping, etc. A final walkthrough has not been done yet, of course. We'll be doing that with subcontractors. Part of that will be punch list items, which would be typical for any project. One that we know we want to address is some with the precast curbing. There's just a couple spots that I think will be addressed, and we're going to work that with the contractor, and I don't see an issue at this point. The other things will be done, of course, will be a final safety inspection certifications of all the play structures. And then once that's complete, we'll be good and be able to announce to everybody for use of this structure. Subject to questions.
Did I hear you say that the large playground below is not getting the rubber?
The pathways.
Pathways
throughout, then as well as underneath the key fall protection, like the slides,
That's where the rubber will go?
Yeah, correct. So right now, if you're up there now, anywhere where you see that crushed gravel in place, that's going to be coated with the rubber.
Okay, thanks.
Great. And so do we have, so the projected timeline?
Now, so what I'm waiting on is, of course, will be this week, we'll decide, once we see when the poured in place and how that goes. Best case, I think, probably a 2-week, but I don't want to announce a firm date yet until we kind of hit a couple milestones in there.
So that'll be, when it's all complete, there'll be a grand ribbon cutting.
Yep.
Complete with children and
Correct.
happy adults. Yes?
That's correct.
Yes, okay.
I'm working with Jonah Spivak, of course, he's being the main point person on, and both of us are in close communication. I set this Wednesday as kind of a, let's see where we're at, and best case we can announce a date, and start preparing it, or we might have to postpone a little bit until we get a firm timeline.
You've done this amazingly fast, and it's, but we're so excited that the fact that you've done it amazingly fast doesn't make us not want it, tomorrow. But this has been an amazingly good, efficient process. And
well, of course, the team is the one that's, Mark Sawyer's the right hand, and couldn't be able to do it without him and the rest of the team. So
yeah,
appreciate it.
Yeah, and great colors. So, okay, any questions? No? Then thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Should we take a 1 minute so we can, Sarah, do you want to come join us?
Poor Sarah.
Sorry, I didn't see you. Yeah. Hi. And while Sarah's getting settled, I want to apologize because we did think that we were going to hold Paul here to talk about ADA tonight, and between the time that Jean and I put together the what's coming up on the agenda and the agenda came out, there was a change in plans. So, if you were expecting the ADA update, it is coming, just not tonight. So there's that. All right, so next up we have implementing the town vision. And there are two things. First, I'm really happy to say that Tom Haley has expressed his strong interest in being the liaison for the CPARB, the Community Policing Advisory Review Board. And so that, I think, would be really wonderful. He would be a resource, and he would be a conduit for information. We would need to vote on that position so that he can be added to our, boards and commissions lists on the website. Would someone like to make a motion?
So move.
I'll make a motion that Tom Haley, that's your name, right?
Then I will second it.
Be appointed to the CPR board
As a liaison.
as a liaison.
Thank you. Okay. And you
And I
seconded
seconded
it?
it. Yes.
Any discussion?
I've never been a conduit before.
Hey, there's a first for everything. I'm looking forward to seeing you as a conduit. What form does that take? All right. So any discussion? No? All right. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Thank you, Tom. That is wonderful. All right. And then the second thing is just wanted to follow up on Ideal Vermont. So I did go to the information session. It absolutely is something that we think would be useful for us to take part in. We have started assembling a team, which would include 2 members of town staff, 1 member of the SVSU, and then select board members. So Michelle Johnson, who is the HR director for the town, and Dan Monks, assistant town manager, would represent the town staff. Jonathan Phipps, who is the equity coordinator for the SVSU, would represent the SVSU. And then Jean and I would both like to be on this in the first year. There is room for another select board member on that group. So if someone would like to be part of that, I think talk to Jean and me afterwards. The structure is, this is designed to go on for as long as communities are willing to participate. It is set up on a sort of a quarterly rhythm. 2 in-person meetings, once a month meetings. The first month is everyone getting together and community sharing information. The second month is everybody getting together and having some kind of training. The third month is online chat and a newsletter and sort of following that rhythm. Go ahead.
I'm just thinking people may not know what IDEAL even is. And I don't know what the acronym stands for.
It stands for Inclusion, Diversity, oh dear.
See, I need
Equity, equity.
It's implementing our town vision, being inclusive, open, affirming, no?
It's actually in our minutes. We can look it up, Nancy.
I'm sorry.
Nancy did a nice job. Somebody look it up in our minutes while
But
I'm
anyway,
talking.
I just thought people should know what you're talking about.
It is a statewide program that we were invited to join, and it is for the purpose, it is to help communities that are already thinking about inclusion and equity to move to action steps. And it comes along with, they have funding for up to 10 communities a year to receive up to $10,000 each to help implement ideas for those communities.
Jeannie?
You found it?
Yes.
Good.
It's in the previous minutes.
Yes.
Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, Action, and Leadership, Vermont.
Okay.
IDEAL, Vermont.
Action and leadership. All right, we're almost there. All right. So, so we are moving forward with this, and it's a strong team. I think we're really, really pleased that the town and the schools will be working together on this. That's our update on it.
Yeah, the only thing I would like to add is I think it's something that we should be very proud of, that we were asked to do this. It wasn't that we raised our hands, we were specifically asked. And I think that's something that we should be proud of.
Yes. Yes, and then we stepped up. All right, so anything else on implementing town vision for right now? We'll get the ADA report in a couple weeks. All right, so we are now moving on to policy on signs on public lands. I'm going to start with Stuart, but I'm, waiting for the...
Yes, we're all waited with bated breath for what Jim has to offer. This has been discussed both in-house and publicly. The proliferation of political signage this year has been incredible and quite an eyesore in many cases for the cluster of signs on public property. The law provides that we can prohibit such signage, but also any temporary signage on public property. I can thank Dan Monks for digging this public policy out of information from the Secretary of State's office. And we are proposing that the Select Board adopt this policy, and I'll basically read it. Signs prohibited on public property. Except for signs owned and or maintained by the town of Bennington, signs of any kind, including but not limited to political campaign signs, are prohibited on public property. Definitions: sign is any sign, display, or representation which is intended to be visible from a public right-of-way. Public property, pretty obviously, is any property owned, leased, held, controlled, and or maintained by the town of Bennington, including but not limited to public parks, highway rights-of-way, public facilities, and municipal buildings and infrastructure. And a political campaign sign is any sign with the name, image, or likeness of a candidate for public office. And staff is strongly recommending that the Select Board adopt this policy.
I have a question for you, Stu.
Sure.
So if we were to pass this tonight, the Support UK sign that's on the town office lawn, that would be in violation?
No, that was placed by the town.
So the town can do what they like, is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. I would hope so.
All right, then I have a question for Lori, if you'd like to step up to the microphone.
At your own risk.
Okay.
At your own risk, for sure.
You don't have
Not
it.
sure this is my area of expertise, but sure.
Lori, you brought up a lot of different programs. And do you have a difficult time with outreach to get it in front of the faces of the people that need it most?
That's a good question. I mean, I know that we had a slogan throughout COVID that was, "We're here for you," and we had the highest numbers we've ever seen. So I would wonder, I mean, I've often complimented our communications director that I wonder if that was a key ingredient.
Well, my question for you is, do you think if you were allowed to put out signs in different places in town about the programs that you offer, that you'd be able to help more people?
I think they have helped where we've had them. And so I think the question is, so if I was not able, or we were not able to have them, would that be a deficit to, it could be.
Well, thank you very much. That's all the questions that I have. But to turn back to Stu, as far as this policy goes, I think the political campaign sign thing, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, it was abused. But with respect to, you know, let's say in the wintertime when homeless people are having a difficult time getting in touch with the people that they need to, if we couldn't put out a sign with a number on there and who to contact and other things that UCS could benefit from and that the people of Bennington could benefit from. Do you object to that?
No, as long as the signs are being placed by the town.
Okay, so then Lori or whomever would have to come and ask either the select board or you?
It would be the manager's office that would issue those approvals, yes.
And is that under the sign ordinance that we already,
Because that's
No,
not
we're
in
talking
here.
about temporary signs here.
Yeah. That's
not in here, though.
Signs that are not subject to the sign ordinance administered by the town.
But Stu, that is not in this policy.
Yes, it is.
Where?
Signs owned and or maintained by the town of Bennington. Except
Right.
for signs owned or maintained by the town of Bennington. So if UCS comes to us and says, we have this sign that wants to advertise a particular program for a particular period of time, and we say, yes, we'll place that on the town office front lawn.
So there's your invitation, Lori.
All right, anybody?
all right, any other questions? Oh, lots of questions. Jean? Bruce?
This is just a question, and the answer can be no. Should the policy contain language about what will happen to signs that violate the policy? It may not be necessary, just came to mind. Don't need to. Dan's. Okay, that's fine.
It's just like if somebody puts something on their own private property.
It would be for informational purposes only, and, yeah.
And the
Okay.
guidance that we were given, that you guys shared, said keep it very short and very sweet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bruce?
Stu or Dan, choice for policy rather than ordinance.
Because the Secretary of State says we can do a policy.
I understand that, but I'm going to, yes, I know. The Secretary of State, I had already read that too. But my question is, why did we choose, he said we could choose, or she, whoever the Secretary of State
Actually, we
ends
only
up
address
being.
as policies, but I will tell you the reason is because ordinances take a long time to come into place, and policies can be changed very easily. So if, for instance, we wanted to tweak this next week, we could. With an ordinance, you couldn't. And we have full authority under this, as much authority under this as an ordinance. So I don't see any advantage to an ordinance over a policy in this particular case.
Yeah, and I'll second that. An ordinance takes 60 days before it becomes effective. So every time you wanted to change the ordinance or tweak the ordinance, you'd be looking at another 60-day period.
Yes, I just wanted the public to be aware of that particular big difference. There is an advantage, however, to an eventual ordinance in that it doesn't become the whim of the next select board to change it just immediately. So there are, even if we have a policy, we can then change the policy next week, right? Or we could eliminate the policy next week, or if there's so the disadvantage of policy is that it can be changed or eliminated at any time. I'm not against this being a policy at this point in time. I'd be interested at some point to seeing whether there was support for making it an ordinance, when I'm interested in getting the signs off the rights of way. And so I'm perfectly willing to vote for this. It's sweet, it's simple, it's straightforward, and I think I've been able to answer anybody's questions. Does this mean that I can't put up my sign on the telephone? Well, it means you couldn't do that anyway. The sign for the yard sale, or does this mean I can't put up a sign in my yard? And I said, no, the town doesn't own your yard. So it's pretty straightforward. I think it's simple, but I would be encouraging us to think about long-term and longer-term. And the other piece of it is notice. It's easier for people to have notice when it's an ordinance. And unless we publish our policies in a really straightforward way, it's harder for people to find those somewhere. So you might find a politician or their supporter making a mistake. So I would just encourage us to figure out the notice question, particularly for a year from now, when we're not thinking about it.
So the guidance, however, does say if the board has not adopted a rule or a policy, then each candidate must ask the board for permission to place a sign anyway. So,
yes, it's very clear that the law allows us to prohibit signs at all.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So so it's already clear that it's not allowed for someone just to put signs on public property anyway. All we're doing is putting that into policy, but it's already...
We're just stating it very, very clearly.
Absolutely, and we're stating it for this time. And, quite frankly, towns can make exceptions, even to that thing. So I'm just going to encourage us in that direction.
Okay.
So I'd just like to say, I think we already did a procedure where if somebody wants to place a sign, they go to town manager, then it comes to us. And this is another policy, so I'd just like to make a motion to approve this.
You'd like to make a motion?
To approve this.
Oh, okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Perfect. All right. Any further discussion? Yes, please, Sam.
Sam Rustino, Bennington, Vermont. Now, we're not an ordinance. We just stated that it was a policy. Does this mean anything that's on telephone poles, like tag sale signs? No?
They're already illegal.
Right, it's already illegal. Do we enforce that?
No, we don't.
We should. That's just as bad as campaign signs on right-of-way. I hate to tell you how many nails and tag sale signs and litter, and it just gives, when the tag sale's done, take it down, please. That's my biggest gripe. And I hate to tell you where Gravitational North was, where Salem's Market was, and that telephone pole had probably 1,000 nails in it.
Thanks, Sam. Anything else? Ready to vote, guys, right? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, great. Thank you so much. Yay. All right, so moving on to the manager's report.
Yes, I did not have any action items when I sent out my report. Unfortunately, I now have two, or fortunately, I guess. My report later on talks about the fact that the state of Vermont for liquor and tobacco licenses is going online. So I'm presenting to you tonight the last, perhaps, of the written applications for first, second, or third class liquor licenses for the Couch and Cork LLC at 113 South Street. This does require at least 4 signatures on the board to approve, and I will circulate that for signature, if you wouldn't mind, Nancy. The second is a request from the Bennington Fire Department to allow them to serve alcohol at their annual clam bake, which is scheduled for the 21st, I believe, of September, here in their facility where they have the grill that is currently fenced. I think last year the board did allow them to serve alcohol at this event. It's for the fire department and their family members and friends only. It is not open to the public, and they have placed that request to me today, and unfortunately, this is the only meeting that you have to consider it.
And it's not open to the public?
It is not open to the public.
All right, so you're looking for a motion?
Pardon me?
Are you looking for a motion?
Yes, I would need a motion to approve, to waive the alcohol prohibition.
So moved.
Second.
All right, discussion?
Stu, what would happen as far as liability if someone left the event and was in a car accident or hurt someone?
The liability, depending on how it's presented, could fall to the town. They're a volunteer fire department, and they are covered by our insurance. But remember, though, this is being catered by a licensed.
That was where I was going.
I'm sorry,
That was going to be my next question. Okay.
Dutchman's Tavern is catering the event, so their license is also on the line.
Okay. So that probably would be the first line of.
That would be probably the first line. If they overserve, it's their responsibility.
I used to be a certified pourer, so I know something about this.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
That answered mine.
Are we ready to vote? Okay, all those in favor of the motion that was made, yes? Yes. Please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right.
Thank you.
There you go.
Now I'll just run through some of the informational aspects here. The Benmont County Street water main replacement project had 2 bidders. The low bidder was Casella Construction, and they came in at $986,985. It was slightly below what the original estimate was, and we have authorized them. I think the bid award will be going out soon, and the contract will soon follow. That work should begin this fall. They will focus on Benmont Avenue first and try to get as much of that work done as possible and get that closed up before winter. County Street will follow in the spring. The town is actually taking on a lot of the surface reparation work as part of this project to reduce the cost to the town. You folks have all received, I think, a notice about the Survive Vermont training webinar, which has now been recently released. It's a training opportunity for businesses and organizations presented as a collaboration between the Vermont Department of Health, the Bennington Police Department, the Bennington Rescue Squad, Southern Vermont Medical Center, and CAT TV. It focuses on 3 components of preparedness: see something, say something, run, hide, and fight, and stop the bleed. There's a video that's associated with the webinar, and businesses and other organizations are being offered the opportunity to view this webinar as part of this approach to preparedness within the community. As I said earlier, liquor licenses, tobacco licenses are moving online. So in the future, the town clerk will receive a list of those alcohol licenses for renewal, which you already see. It's developed and presented to you, and you sign off on the whole list. You will also receive a list of new licenses in a very similar fashion, but it'll be a little more detailed. You'll have the name of the business, the owners of the business, the address of the new business, but you'll get a list from the town clerk, and they'll be presented to you at your board meetings, and you'll probably, as part of your consent agenda, agree to provide those licenses. So this should be much cleaner, much faster, and we'll look forward to seeing how well it comes to pass. As you know, last Friday we distributed test kits for COVID here at the fire facility 2 times during the day. We probably, I'm guessing we distributed somewhere around 200 to 200, maybe 300 kits. We have 2,200 that were provided to us. These kits do expire at the end of October, which is why the health department is making them available to communities. We now will have kits at the town offices, at the senior center, at the rec center, public works garage, police department, and I think we've even talked perhaps about distributing potentially through the library, but we haven't moved in that direction yet. So these kits will be available for anyone who wants to come into the offices. They're right by the front doors. You move into the lobby at the town offices. Take the kits, use them if you need to, but realize they do expire at the end of October.
Stu?
And they are free.
Stu? If an agency wanted to come in and help with that distribution, I'm assuming that they could just give the office
We'd
a
love
call.
to have them. We'd love
Great.
to have them. We have several hundred of
I
these
understand
kits
that
available.
experience, yep.
Stu,
And then I'm sorry.
were you going to move on from COVID? I have one more question.
No.
Okay. GBICs, do they have some? Do they have plenty of test kits?
They were made available to food banks and those kinds of organizations initially as part of the original distribution. I don't know whether GBEX is participating.
And I'm assuming the school is flush with COVID tests?
The schools already have the kits, yes.
How many are available per family?
Pardon me?
How many are available per family?
We have been offering 2 per family member. We originally were going to restrict that to no more than 4 per family, but because we have so many of them and such a light demand, apparently, we're trying to get them out there so people can use them, people who need them.
So people could actually pick up as many as they need, is
That's
what you're
correct.
saying? Yeah.
I just thought of UCS as well. UCS.
They distribute them to
They
the
have-
churches as well.
Okay.
I would assume that they have them, but if any of the organizations in the community that deal with the public that wants to come and grab a number of these to be able to distribute them, we'd be glad to work with them.
Yeah, I hope they reach out.
Super.
And then the last piece I have is, and I told one individual who asked that costumes are not required, we'll be doing our tax sales on October 31st of this year. So right now we've been whittling down the number of potentially sale properties. We already have some interest from folks in the community, but that list will not be formalized until after September 15th, I believe. That's when the attorneys will be sending out their formal notices. So if anyone is out there who happens to be on the list and you haven't reached out to the programs that are available through the state that will help you pay down your delinquency, or you haven't reached out to the town to try to formalize an agreement, please do so now, because once it goes to the attorneys, there is very little opportunity to make an agreement unless it's for the entire amount. And that's all I have. I'd like to end on an up note.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so upcoming agendas. So the next meeting, we will be missing both Sarah and Jean, so we were going to try and keep that meeting light if we could. I don't know of anything that,
We will have the police coming to you in executive session.
I thought they were coming in October.
No, they're coming in executive session. They'll be presenting to the public in open session in October.
In October, okay, fine, okay.
But they do want to meet with you, and they are bringing their Homeland Security individual with them to
Okay.
fill you in on some of the things that have been
But
happening.
for the public agenda,
It'll be the first meeting in October.
yeah, okay. So it could be a really light meeting. We know of nothing right now.
The 88 would be postponed before.
It will be it'll be that first meeting in October too,
Okay.
I'm gonna guess, just because VCIL has to respond.
Yeah, it went out to VCIL today, so we'll have their comments back before that meeting.
Okay, all right. Then, let's see. Other business. Tom, you got anything? No, Jim? Jean?
Yeah, I attended a vigil that UCS sponsored at Lake Perrin, was it last Thursday night. It was for suicide, family members or friends of suicide, people that had taken their own lives by suicide. And it was beautiful. It really was very, very moving. People that had lost a loved one or a friend or a relative were there, came to tell their stories. It was at Lake Perrin. Their stories were very moving, and Lori was there, obviously, and she made it very clear that to prevent suicides and get people the help that they need if they're contemplating suicide, talking about it and not hiding and removes the stigma, and that's really the way to help people. So that's the message that I walked away with, and I really just appreciate the effort that they organized it, and it seemed to be very well received. 988, you're supposed to call or text 988 if you're in a crisis or you know someone who's in a crisis, and you can call UCS 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, with any kind of crisis, and the number is 802-442-5491. That's it.
Thank you. Sarah? Bruce, no? All right. Well, we have need of an executive session for contract and real estate matters, and we do not anticipate we will not be making a decision coming out. So we will say goodnight to you, and thank you so very much.
And we'll need a motion from
Oh, we need a motion to move into.
We're going to move to
Okay.
do that.
Yeah.
Move into executive session for
Yes.
contract and real estate.
Excellent. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Now let's take
Now
2 minutes. Okay.
Cat TV is celebrating 30 years of community media. Help support Cat TV's next 30 years by becoming a member today. Your membership will help us continue covering meaningful, local content. Thank you for supporting your local community media station.